Hello there everyone, this is me Ethan here and welcome back to another film review. And 1 week ago I saw Jurassic World Dominion and here are my thoughts. Jurassic World Dominion was easily one of my most anticipated films of this year. I did not like Jurassic World Fallen Kingdom, but the way that they left things off made it incredibly exciting. We have dinosaurs roaming the earth alongside humans. How are we going to coexist with dinosaurs? That's what I thought this movie would be, and it wasn't, but that was one of the selling points for me. And the second selling point was the fact that we were going to get the original trio from Jurassic Park back. We already had Ian Malcolm back in Fallen Kingdom, and now we have Ellie Sattler and Alan Grant back, and I love that trio from the original Jurassic Park. Jurassic Park is easily one of the best blockbusters of all time. Pure Spielberg movie magic, you gotta love it. As you can see, I'm currently reading the Jurassic Park book. It is very good so far. Can't wait to see how it differs from the original film. I know it's fairly different, but there are some similarities, and I'm excited to see how it plays out. But anyways, those are my two selling points. Dinosaurs coexisting with humans around the world, and the original trio returning. Essentially, I went in expecting a Planet of the Apes style Jurassic World movie with the original cast back alongside our new characters, and to have a fun time seeing dinosaurs. But both of those selling points didn't end up playing out the way I'd hoped it would. But let's start out with the positives and what I enjoyed. First off, the cast. The original cast is great. I love seeing them back. As soon as I saw all three of them together, it put a huge smile on my face, and whenever we first see them, it put a huge smile on my face. I don't think they're as iconic as all three Spider-Men teaming up. They're definitely not super iconic pop culture characters, but Jurassic Park is certainly a pop culture icon in movies and film and stuff, and it was just really fun to see them back. Now, Ian Malcolm is definitely the best out of the three. He easily has the best one-liners and the best jokes and everything. It feels like Jeff Goldblum's clearly having a fun time doing his Jeff Goldblum thing. I love Jeff Goldblum. He was easily the best part of the movie for me, and he was much more fun than the other two, but I enjoyed seeing all three of them back. Now, I can't say the same about the Jurassic World cast, the cast that we know now for 3 movies straight. Chris Pratt and Bryce Dallas Howard put on very stale performances. They're not even half as interesting as they were in the original Jurassic World, which is saying something because their characters weren't interesting there either. They just come out stale and boring, and they're just there to pretty much run away from dinosaurs, which I'm kind of okay with that at this point. They're not at all interesting characters, but I actually kind of liked Maisie Lockwood a little bit more, the clone girl from Fallen Kingdom. She made a really stupid decision in Fallen Kingdom that led into this movie. She still makes stupid decisions in this movie, but at least she actually had a little bit of character to her, even if it was just a moody teen stereotype. Now, the dinosaurs. There is some fantastic dinosaur action when there are dinosaurs. This is easily the biggest Jurassic movie to date. I know this is not the end. It's not the end of the Jurassic franchise. There's totally going to be more dinosaur movies. But this is easily the biggest one yet. It is essentially a globe-trotting adventure with dinosaurs, and it's huge. The stakes are high. There's great dinosaur spectacle and some really good tense moments, actually. And all those action scenes are shot really well, in my opinion. There's some scenes where towards the end, towards that final act, it's a little bit too dark here and there, and I wasn't a big fan of that. And there's also a little bit of shaky cam, but overall the cinematography and just the way everything was shot whenever it comes to those action scenes was really good, in my opinion. And now, speaking of that third act, I actually really liked it, unlike most people. The way they ended the saga, not so much, which I'm not going to get into because this is pretty much a spoiler-free review. But the way that they conclude everything, I wasn't a fan of. But that third final battle act sequence, I guess you could call it, I actually enjoyed it more than most people did. And I thought it was really fun. It was dumb, stupid, blockbuster fun, and I enjoyed it. And my final positive as a LEGO fan is that the Jurassic World Dominion sets are incredibly accurate. I mean, even the first 10-minute scene, that scene itself is made into a set, and it is really accurate, but it's based on one of the most pointless scenes in the movie. It's not an amazing scene by any means, and that's one of the scenes that's shot a little bit too dark, in my opinion. But, yeah, like, even the worst scenes were accurately captured in the film, and I can greatly appreciate that these Jurassic World sets have pretty much always stayed consistently pretty accurate to the film. Now onto the stuff I didn't like so much, which is quite a bit of stuff. First off is the story, which is incredibly frustrating because the first 20 minutes I was hooked. Now the introduction, where we have essentially a news commentary reporting what happened between the past 2 films up until now, was incredibly stupid. You do not have to tell us word for word that dinosaurs now exist on Earth. all across Earth. Just show it to us. We literally got the prologue to the film 6 or 7 months ago, and it was fantastic. And you see dinosaurs just living among creatures. It was like 5-10 minutes long. It was a great, peaceful looking opening, and then you end in a drive-in movie theater with a T-Rex, and there's so much tension in that scene. If they kept that in there, that would have been such a great introduction. You do not have to tell us directly that dinosaurs are living on Earth. Just show us it. It's not that difficult. Moving on, the second act I find to be really, really stupid. We have Ellie Sattler and Alan Grant on a top secret mission looking for big locusts that are eating up farm crops. Now, the whole thing is that the evil, greedy businessmen are once again after biology, and they've already changed the dinosaurs' DNA, so now they have to change bugs' DNA to make giant locusts to eat farm crops and end food supply, which makes sense in a Jurassic movie, even though that kind of subplot's not about dinosaurs. It would make sense that these biological engineers would change the DNA of other animals, not just dinosaurs, but it would work in more of a standalone Jurassic World movie. It would work in this movie if it was the second to last one, but considering this is supposed to be the epic conclusion of the Jurassic saga, you don't end with a bang focusing on big bugs. That is really, really dumb, and all people really want to see is dinosaurs, not big bugs. That's just gross. At times, it hardly feels like a dinosaur movie, and that's my main complaint. The antagonists, speaking of which, are still very, very bland. Every single Jurassic World movie, and most of the Jurassic Park movies, are about the greedy corporate businessmen that just want to abuse dinosaurs and use them for violence or whatever, and it's the same thing here again, but this time, they are over the top and cartoonish, which makes them even worse. Our main villain, who I won't say who his name is for spoiler reasons, literally gets upset and then just goes punching the air for 10 seconds. And it's much more over the top than what I just did, believe me. And then for that second act, one of the other antagonists, she's in there, and then she's out of the story, and she's completely useless. She didn't need to be in the movie. She's also over the top. She feels like she would be in a Saturday afternoon cartoon show about Jurassic World, and she served absolutely no purpose. I don't know why that character was even there. And then same goes with the one antagonist in the first act. We have 3 antagonists in this movie, and 2 of which are just completely unnecessary. You don't even have to add a character to them. They can just be nobodies that are doing what they're doing, and they don't need to be a part of the story. My best way to describe this movie is a bunch of dinosaurs' greatest hit scenes all along a tape, and piecing it together with those pieces of tape is just a mediocre story. It's just a bunch of good action sequences with a mediocre story in between. I love the action scenes, but the story was just not there at all, and it feels like it was just so poorly written and just very, very rushed. And I think even the plots for the previous 2 Jurassic World movies were better, which says a lot because Fallen Kingdom was pretty bad. And the whole idea of this Jurassic World trilogy is we start out at Jurassic World, which is the park, but we don't know that this story eventually leads into a true Jurassic World or a Jurassic Earth, where dinosaurs are roaming the Earth. And it's all led up to this. Every single film, Jurassic World, Fallen Kingdom, they all lead into Dominion, where we're finally living with dinosaurs in a true Jurassic World. And then it's underutilized, and it's an afterthought whenever it comes to the story, and that is what disappoints me most. It could have been such a cool film about both the villain side and the hero side trying to figure out how to deal and cooperate with dinosaurs in our world, but no, it is just about big bugs, and this is not at all what the film was marketed to be. So you can't say my expectations were too high, because that's entirely how it was marketed. That's how it was marketed at the end of Jurassic World Fallen Kingdom, where we knew dinosaurs were living on Earth, and everybody thought that would be the main plot of this film, and that it would be really good. And in the trailers, it's marketed as that as well. Like, dinosaurs roaming the Earth, that's what the movie is. But no, that's not what the movie actually ends up being. And going back to the whole idea of the Jurassic World, I was really hoping that this wouldn't be another Jurassic film where we end at a big battle next to a lab on a remote island. But we still ended on a remote island next to a lab with big dinosaurs, just like every single Jurassic movie. And it's no different. It's just the same movie over and over again. Kind of like Fast and Furious for some people, but it just ended the exact same way as usual. And I really thought we could have a really, really cool ending where it wasn't on a secure island with big dinosaurs. And we could have like a cool location to wrap it up in or something, but no. Going back to the original trio, like I said, they're fun to watch, they're fun to see all together, but the dialogue is awful. The dialogue is awful throughout the entire movie, but especially within that trio. There's so many pieces of dialogue that are just acted off, and the dialogue's just written weirdly, and you hear Ellie Sattler talking about how Ian Malcolm slid into her DMs, and it doesn't feel like it should be in a Jurassic film where the stakes are so high. But the stakes aren't that high, and that's why the dialogue is goofy. It feels like it's trying to copy the MCU, but it's doing a way, way worse job at it. And now, Alan Grant, he was incredibly underutilized. I loved him in the original one. He was such a cool character, fending off dinosaurs and helping out those two kids. He was such a cool character, but here he is not in his element at all. He's on a spy mission, and at some moments, he has just this huge plot armor. Like, he falls from, like, a fairly large ladder and like back onto his head and his full back, and if that was truly realistic, he would be internally bleeding. He would not be getting back up and going to run away from the dinosaur just like he was before. And that's my last issue with this film. There is massive plot armor for these characters. Now, most of the Jurassic films do have massive plot armor for their characters, but in here it is cranked up to 100. I mean, especially during one scene where you're seeing Bryce Dallas Howard run away from hear that, one raptor. Bryce Dallas Howard is running away from one raptor on top of a building, jumping from building to building, and she outruns the raptor somehow. But then, in between, we cut to Chris Pratt on a motorcycle against two raptors, and he's hardly able to outrun them. That just makes no sense. Like, the logic is just not even there. And I know it's not supposed to be realistic. It's literally a movie about dinosaurs, for crying out loud. But still, the logic is just not there at all. It's just straight up weird. You got one guy on a motorcycle hardly able to outrun two raptors, and then one woman on top of buildings out chasing a raptor. And if you could at least separate the scenes by like 20 or 30 minutes, it's a little more excusable. But whenever you have them happening both at the exact same time, it is just really weird and just really funny to watch. All in all, Jurassic World is a huge mess of a film that does not deliver on any of its premises, with bad dialogue and messy writing and an overall not interesting story. But I will give it that it has some fun action and some good dinosaur moments. I had fun for a decent bit of this film, but so many aspects of it made me roll my eyes many, many times. I give Jurassic World Dominion 4 stars out of 10. I would not recommend going to see it in theaters unless you're seeing it in XD or IMAX so you can get those great dinosaur roars and sounds, but overall it is incredibly mediocre in the definition of a C film for a blockbuster that is overall entertaining but incredibly stupid, and it doesn't take the audience seriously.